Welcome this week, everybody. This is Ultra Magnus. I'm presenting everything again. It's been a week off from vacation, and I know that everybody was busting Heinz's balls regarding box scores and updating stats, but you know what? It's the way of the world, and Heinz did an amazing job to keep everything afloat while I was away. But let's get back to our weekly videos, and you're going to get a little spoiled this week. I'm going to try to get two out. One today and one probably over the weekend maybe, but let's kick it off and stop hearing me chat about stuff that has no relevance to what you guys really want. So we're going to start off with the standings. Some new details you're going to see in here. You're going to see a lot more colors. Like if you scroll down, you're going to see eliminated from playoffs, not able to win division, and not able to win conference, which are our elimination numbers. So, say for an example, King Raph, he has 11 games or 11, his elimination number is 11. So it bases also on how many wins the team in front of him has, based on how many losses he has with how many games in total. I'm not going to get into the details regarding it's the elimination number similar to baseball. But in this regards, his elimination number is 11. So likelihood not getting eliminated, but you can see the guys below him, the Highland Wolf and the Maximals. Both of them are basically not able to win the division, not able to win the conference because of their current points and also who's ahead of them. And that goes across for all the other teams. The teams that are actually full on eliminated are the Dusters and the Firebirds due to being disbanded or just unable to play this season, which Einstein will be playing in season 2. It's just a lot of stuff happened for him this past month. So, and then also you have clinch playoff berth, clinch division, clinch title. So right now we have 4 teams that have officially clinched the playoff berths. Seeding is not set yet. However, Segathon, McLean, LHX, and King Raph have all clinch playoff spots. I haven't done all the calculations, but basically right now these are the 4 that are confirmed to have made the playoffs. Also, I've added some win percentages. In next season, I'm going to be adding streaks in, so that's going to actually help people to know how long of a streak they have, and those will also get updated on the records tab. Our next tab is our league leaders. There's been some suggestions of which categories we can add. There will be 2 new categories thanks to King Raph being able to get the safe state extractor. Has helped me be able to find a couple more categories we can add into this list. One being body checks. And then the other one I still up in the air of what it's going to be, but I think it's going to be points per game. Might be that. But here are our league leaders. Goals, we got people that are inching closer to that 80 mark. Right now, I think Klima will be the one that's going to end up hitting the 80 mark. Points, it's going to come down to the Highland Wolf and the Sunnyvale Shithawks to see who could be the first player to hit 100 points. As of right now, the other players behind them, I don't think they're going to be able to hit 100 with the games that they have left this season. Assists, Gary Roberts has been leading the charge the whole year. Penalty minutes, Nicholas Lindstrom continues to be in the same spot. Power play points, or special team points, Joe Sakic hasn't really changed his spot for the last couple of weeks. Shots, Gary Roberts took over a few weeks ago, and he's just been on a torrid stretch of just like annihilating goalies with the puck. But again, Peter Klima coming flying up behind on the rear. I made him an adjustment on the goaltender's minimum requirements. You need to play at least 5 games to be eligible for the goals against average and save percentage. This hasn't changed much. The only ones that have kind of got into the standings a little bit more is Artis Urbe. And then in save percentage, John Casey's kind of creeped his way in as well. Wins, that it's starting to change a bit with more teams winning more games and moving up the ranks. Artis Urbe is one of them with 26, and then shutouts, I don't think anyone's going to catch Ed Belfour, so that one's pretty much a foregone conclusion that he's going to win the title for shutouts, and it'll set the record from future seasons. Moving over to our next tab is our awards. I'm doing the halfway mark and the 3/4 at the same time. It just makes more sense to be able to do it that way. But our Brick Wall Award hasn't changed really from the halfway to the 3/4, but they did change from the quarter to the half, where Belfour, Broder, and Urbe have all joined in. And it hasn't really changed for Belfort and Broder. They've been going along pretty much steadily the whole year. Our sniper award is basically remain the top three. Our top three goal scorers are Brett Hull, Owen Nolan, and Gary Roberts. Our Two Touchy Cup. We have a new joiner after Dave Ellett had a pretty good 2 week period. I think Curtis Lasician has earned that right to be able to stand in there. And Malakhov and Suter have been pretty much the steady goers the whole season. The Gadget Award. Joe Sakic is leading the way, but Owen Nolan and Robert Reichel have both been sitting there with him and hopefully may be able to catch him before the season concludes. The Street Fighter Award. We have Nicholas Lindstrom, Ray Bork, and Mike Ridley. Those three have continued to pile up the penalty minutes in the sin bin a little bit more often than not. And then we move over to our Royal Flush Award. Brett Hull, Owen Nolan, and Joe Sakic. Basically the same three guys from 2 weeks ago as well as last week and starting this week as well. We have a new award called the Game Theory Award. It's going to basically be based on the goaltender with the best save percentage or a combination of goalies, but I think it's going to stay with one goalie's best save percentage. So Broder, Belfort, Hebert, I have 3 empty blocks because I didn't want to put them in prior because those percentages are no longer existing. Then we move into the Classic Cup. Those are the 3 best teams' overall records, and that's the Minnesota Mullets, the Sunnyvale Shithawks, and the Renfrew Creamery Kings. Then our playoff MVP award, we'll find that out in the next couple of weeks, who might be able to win that. The Gentleman's Cup, that will be announced at the end of the season, the regular season, not the playoffs. The Bruley Cup, same thing, that'll be in those, and we have a new award called the Prospect Cup. This will be awarded to the teams that did not make the playoffs will participate in a best of 3-round tournament for themselves, so they're continuing to play while everybody else is playing for the Bruley. Is that the winner of this cup will actually get the first overall pick, and then all expansion teams and teams that did not win the cup will be put in order based on their overall regular season finish. So that's going to be an interesting thing to be able to do over the next week or so. But once that happens, everyone's going to be a little excited to see it. And so I started to create a projected playoff. This is basically the top seed for each in the East, and in the West will be the top seed from that conference. So Hines with the Cologne High will be the top seed in the West because right now he's currently sitting as the number 1 seed, and the number 1 seed in the East is the Minnesota Mullets with Segathon. He will sit in the number 1 seed. Afterwards, numbers 2, 3, all the way through 8 for each conference side will be based on your standings. So if you are the 3rd overall team, you'll be competing in the East. If you're the 5th overall, you'll be competing in the East as well. But then basically it alternates between the East and the West. So right now our first round matchups are as such. We have the Minnesota Mullets against the Pensacola Ice Flyers. Then we have way to start off the playoffs with me and Halifax because we started the season off. Why not kick the playoffs off together? We have the Highland Wolf and the Troy City Teabaggers. The Troy Hill Teabaggers, my apologies, sitting in for their first round matchup, and we have the Sunnyvale Shithawks and the Minnesota Moose kicking off the other playoff seeding for number 2s and 7s. These are just projections right now. And then in the West, we have the Cologne High against the Pitt Intramurals with Nipples. His team will be competing, projecting for this. The Richfield Oracles and the Sumter Trash will compete in their first round matchup. I'm interested about this matchup between King Raff and Mike Vick EBC. And then we got the Renfrew Creamery Kings and Sammy Smith competing in for the last one. Then we scroll down a little bit more, and then we got the Prospect Cup. We have Gambini against the Dusters. He gets an automatic first round bye because the Dusters disbanded. So he moves on automatically. Troy City and the Titans against Dinklebergs. They will compete in the first round. B. Clinton 1 and Leviathan will compete in the other one. And since Einstein is unable to complete any of his games for the rest of the season, the California Golden Seals will be automatically pushed along, and they're sitting in the number 2 spot. Both get first round buys, waiting for the other first round buys, the first round teams to play their games out so they know who their matchup will be. And now we move into everyone's favorite part, the power rankings. I can't close the screen and hopefully nobody sees everything. Well, I was pretty quick there. So basically, I'm doing week 3 and 4 together. So basically, I copied and pasted the rankings from week 3 to week 4 because it will be week 5 I'm going to be putting in for maybe this weekend. But basically, the Dusters, last spot, haven't played, don't deserve to be any higher than that. Then we move into Einstein. He moved up from the bottom seed because I think it's rightfully so. The guy at least made the efforts to try to play in the league, but some personal stuff had popped up. It's going to happen, and he will participate in season 2. He's not disbanding like the Dusters are. So the Dusters players will be available for the expansion draft, as well as any other players on their roster will be put into free agency after the other teams that are new coming in for this expansion will pick away at the bones and throw whatever's left over to free agency. Then we have Leviathan. He's moved down slightly. He's played some games, but at the same time too, doesn't justify a higher spot at this moment. But hopefully he can start racking up some wins and move up the standings. We have Dinkleberg, same situation. He's fallen back slightly. Lack of gameplay is kind of played into this. Then we move into B Clinton 1. He's moved back a little bit. Same reason. We have those bottom 3 teams of B Clinton 1, Dinkleberg, and Leviathan. All 3 guys limited gameplay. Main reason why your power rankings are where they are. Then the Troy City Titans, a slight step back. No more for vocal statements. A lot of stuff that we don't want to hear over the radio or over video, but some great Twitch videos created by Aftershock in what he's providing in material. So if anybody hasn't played Aftershock yet, play him and get him to do it on Twitch because it's quite entertaining and it's worth its price of admission. Then we move into Sammy Smith with the Maximals. They had taken a step back, a few tough losses, a couple of recent wins to kind of maybe salvage the spot from the sliding a little bit more, but he still has got games to play. He still has a chance to move up the rankings, but it's starting to become a little tighter at the top of the rankings to move up. The California Golden Seals, a big slip. Not a lot of games. The games that they were played, they were losses. And rightfully so, falls down to that 17th spot. The 16th spot, the Minnesota Moose. Recently played him last night. The games are a little harder. He's had some rough games, but he's knocked off the Oracles, which a lot of people thought was going to be very difficult. But he's putting together some wins at timely points, and hopefully he could hold on to one of those last playoff spots. Then we move up to Gambini. He's pulled off some wins, and also he's been pumping out gameplay. So he's becoming a little bit more steady in his gameplay, which has been helping his rise in the rankings. And so we're going to keep an eye on him because he might get himself out of the projected playoff standings right now from the Prospect Cup and maybe knock somebody into it, and maybe he can play for the championship. The Pit, Intramurals with Nipples. A consistent game player for the drafting the worst of the best, or drafting the best of the worst that was left over from the expansion draft. He will be awarded one of the teams that are disbanding's top players because he was technically an expansion team and he decided to roll the dice on it, and I think that's rightfully so, that he deserves to be able to have that one draft pick. So likelihood, I think he'll go after Stevie Y from the Dusters, but we don't know what other teams will be disbanding from now to the end of the season. Einstein team is not going to be touched because he will be returning for season 2. The Pensacola Ice Flyers with G-Lock. He's locking up some wins, he's climbing the rankings, and a lot of attitude, but for good reason. He's been pulling off wins. He's been, in the games that he has lost, have been tight ones. Moving up into the 12th spot is the Troy Hill Teabaggers. Some tough losses, some big shootouts. I think I saw 7-5, 6-1, 5-5. Like the scores are outrageous. But we'll see where he stands at the end of the season. But he's locked himself pretty much in a playoff spot. But he has been pretty much steady through the whole season where he has been in the rankings. Mike EBC takes a slight slide back, some tough losses, some blowout losses, and then some big blowouts for him on to other people as well. So it's been a little bit of inconsistency in every team, I could say, adapting to the new league. So everybody's adapting. The Sumter Trash, a slight slide back, but the team continues to produce. Even and he plays his games, he keeps it steady, and Pavel Bure has kind of tailed off over the last week or so, and we're not going to really be sure where he's going to end up by the end of the year. But hopefully the Sumter Trash can pull it together and start the playoffs or get into the home stretch for the season on a hot streak and maybe make some noise in the playoffs as well. We move into the number 9 spot with the Halifax Schooners. A slight tick up this season. He's moving himself into a solidified playoff spot. He's been pulling out some wins, a lot tighter games than it was at the beginning of the season. So I think he's found his stride here in WN95HL's league. And hopefully he's a stayer for the foreseeable future, but we'll see how everything goes. Then we have the Highland Wolf. How the Wolf has fallen slightly, not due to his gameplay, it's due to lack of games to play, and therefore at the same time too creates a slide. And some of his games that he had closer to the end of the season have been tough losses. He's been taking a little bit more hits on it, and he mentioned, did he fall out of the top 10? No. Have he fallen out of the top 5? Yes. Then we have the Richfield Oracles, probably one of the fastest risers, and he's turned on the heat, been a tough out. Nobody's really been able to beat him, and when he does get beaten, and it's by a 1 or 2 goal game. And he just recently also took down King Wrath in 2 games, made him look normal, not immortal, which he's making himself look like that immortal team that might be able to win a championship, but maybe an early championship favorite. Then my Orlando Cyclones did take a step back, lack of gameplay, but also at the same time too started out of the gates hot and have cooled as of late, but added a win last night to kind of keep himself within the top 10. Then we also have the Renfrew Creamery Kings, who have taken a slide back, same reason, lack of gameplays, and games have been harder for Belfort to get some outs, especially with shutouts and also wins. They've been a little bit more difficult because of the competition that has been played against have been tighter. Also, the Cloran High, pretty steady, probably the number 1 seed in the West to start the playoffs, and great gameplay by Gilmore Yager. Goaltending from Broder has kind of tailed off slightly, but he continues to be one of the top teams in the league, and rightfully so, top 5. And now we'll roll into our top 3. There has been some changes, and basically the important thing is that we've moved into our top 3 with the Sunnyvale Shithawks, who have stumbled out of number 1, lack of gameplay, not the games that they're able to play at the moment, but they're going to basically start the playoffs as one of the top seeds in the East or West, depending on who maybe leapfrogs them. Then we have the Minnesota Mullets taking over the number 2 spot from number 4, have been hot. That's an understatement, but at the same time too, I would like to say that the Reading Railroad, or R&R or RR&R, however Segathon says it, with his Ramheim, Reichel, and Rowning, but are been hot as of yet, and his split goaltender duties with Baron Kelly Rudy. And number 1 is our King Wrath, who has been blowing the doors off of everybody lately. Has just been piling up the wins, maybe not shutouts, but piling up wins and making a lot of teams that thought were invincible at the beginning of the year make them look very normal, myself included. But at the same time too, there's been some tough outs for him recently against the Richfield Oracles, but overall they've been mostly W's. So we're going to quickly go through, that's our power rankings for this week, but I'm going to quickly go through some new tabs. The forwards have been updated for the 1996 season. For Season 2's player ratings have been updated. So if you scroll all the way down, you'll be able to see the rookies coming in, what their ratings are, and what also when they retire. So we'll be able to get an idea. I'm going to start loading in the 97 ones shortly, and we'll also have the ratings for these players moving forward. Some of them retire right away, like Ben Atkinson, but that is what it is. Same thing for defense. It's been updated. Then the same thing for goalies and free agents. So with all that said, the best thing for us to do right now is maybe end out our week. And if there's anything you guys want to see, there's going to be some new stats coming in. So team stats, we're going to end up having a few more things. We're going to have goals for per game, goals against per game. We're going to have your penalty kill, your power play percentages, your face-off percentages, your hits per game, and then also we're going to start adding in some power rankings, but also power ratings. So that's going to be something I'm going to roll out in season 2. It's going to be a little bit more detailed, and we're going to have a lot more information. Everyone's going to start seeing your team page look more like this. It's not going to have anything down at the bottom. Everything's going to be your schedule, your record, how long your team's been. You'll have your power rating and power rankings. Your team records are going to be modified a little bit, but everything's going to get cleaned up. So if there is anything you want to see in the league going forward, please let me know. And also, it was great seeing you guys again put in the work this week, and I'll be seeing you guys shortly. I'm Ultra Magnus, and I'm out.